townhomes in Eden, and they were like 185, 175. But like even if there was like 3 listings in that neighborhood, I mean, it would be worth it. And they would sell like immediately.
Yes.
You know, they were all just flying, and it was they were nice.
Hey Jason,
like
do you need just website?
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't want to go door knock because I don't want to make people uncomfortable. So I don't
I'm handing out what's these door hanger packet plastic bags that says COVID safe contents on it.
Okay.
And so I have the mask under my neck. I don't always have it on unless I go in.
Yeah.
And then hand them the bag, which has all my card and a free letter. And,
okay. And then if they come to the door, you just ask them if they want to talk for a minute?
Yeah, just,
That's smart.
say, hey, we're back in the real estate world now that COVID seems to be a little bit more.
We're back out here.
You are sharing your screen. You are good.
Okay.
And you're good.
Okay. There might be people watching.
Yeah.
Oh.
Nobody pulled out your temperature thing and
Um,
in your head yet?
I can.
One.
It's just us right now.
Probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
If you need to move it, just
Have my
move
own.
the
Yeah.
stuff out of your way.
That's good.
Well, enjoy your class. I do need to talk to her though. It's gonna be about
Thank you. It's been so long.
command
Yeah, I
and
need to do mine as well.
leaving my dot loop stuff, but
Well, let me know.
yeah. I'm only in town a couple days a week, so it's a little more difficult to try to figure out what day would work for you.
Do you have my appointment link?
Do I have an appointment?
Do you have any email that you've received from me? Usually has my little appointment link at the bottom. Just click on that and you can choose whatever day works for you.
Hi,
How's it going?
Okay.
I'm
thank
good.
you.
How are you?
Good.
We'll wait like 5 minutes and see. Realtors are
Late
late and slow and whatever else.
on the phone.
Yeah. But we'll wait and see what anybody does. How have you been?
I've been good.
What are you looking to get out of what we're looking at today? Anything fun?
No.
Okay.
Just trying to be more present in the office.
Fair enough.
And Sarah told me I should come, and I'm signing back up for coaching, so I think I should listen
Nice.
to what she has to say.
Nice.
And every class you teach always has lots of good information in it. You're a wise realtor, so.
I like to at least tell myself that. Well, let's see what we can find, but we'll wait like 5 minutes. Do you have a property that you would like to?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Is
Let
it
me-
anything super goofy or is it pretty?
It's pretty straightforward. I haven't
Okay.
run a CMA on it
Yep.
for a while.
Okay.
But there are clients of mine that are building
Oh, cool.
right now, and we're gonna list in July
Okay.
on the 16th.
Okay.
It's a townhouse in Burnsville.
Oh, yeah, we can do that real easy. Well, I know we have Amy on. Amy, you probably can hear me. We're just gonna wait till like 5 minutes after the hour. I appreciate everybody who's here on time, and we'll just wait till 5 minutes after the hour to get rocking and rolling.
Sounds good.
Well, I'm gonna grab a cup of coffee. You, Anna, if you can print out an MLS sheet
Yeah.
for us on that.
Yeah.
For
Mhm.
maybe just print 5 of them if you would, please.
Yep.
Non-color, obviously.
Good, how are you?
All right. We still have the same amount of victims, it looks like, huh?
Looks like it.
Yeah. We got Amy and then us. Okay.
I didn't print it yet. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm slow.
Yeah.
She'll text you.
Oh, yeah. If you want mine, that would be great because then that would help us to do this better. And then let me change my password. All righty. So here we are. CMA class. So, all right, thank you. Wait for Ms. Thompson to get us our things so graciously. What do you think?
Oh, what?
Anything?
I know your class last time was really good, but I was really new, so it's
Okay.
gonna be,
Fresher?
yep, really good for me because now.
All right, we got 3 people, Lisa, Amy, and the rest of us. Okay, so we're gonna get going. Anna has supplied us with 1510 McAndrews that we're gonna take a peek at quick. This is one that she wants to do a market on, and as always, we're all confidential, nice people in here, so nobody's going to say anything about Anna's potential listing, because that just wouldn't be right, but we all can agree to that. So let's look at this and see what we got. So the very first thing that I like to do, guys, is 2 things. So I'm going to look at the property on the MLS and pull it up, at least see if it's been on the MLS, right? So we know that this property has. And then I'm going to look at there she is in all of her glory. I'm going to always verify owners' names. It's probably one of the biggest things. So just click on, you know, if everybody's kind of following along. And if anybody wants to take themselves off mute, they can with Lisa. I don't know. Unmute? No, maybe I won't. You guys might have to, if you guys want to ask questions, just take yourself off mute and hopefully we can hear you. I'm not sure, but there we go. Are these the owners?
Yeah.
Okay, owners are right. So then the other thing I want to do is you always want to look at history, because you can find the last sale of the property typically. And the reason why I want to look at that I'm kind of curious, like what they paid for it, right?
Mhm.
So we can see that in 2016, which is, there's more than 4 years ago, whether we like to admit that or not, it sold for $225. Now, a general rule of thumb in the South Metro is we're seeing at least 4% appreciation a year, and it's a compounding percentage too. But if we were just going off very round numbers, we could say that this house is really appreciating somewhere about $9,000 a year. It's gone up, we would hope, $36,000. Hey, in the time that it's been, since it's last been listed, it's really big.
I would say it's probably maybe.
And it could be more. I'm just saying, just generality, right? So I'm saying, 36,000 is at least what we probably can add on top of it, and maybe more. So, but it's really, really big. The other thing that I'm looking for is I'm always clicking on the map because this one's in a fairly small townhome community. Now, the challenge that you always have with like this, even though it's on the water compared to this, is the road, right? We got McAndrews. In my mind, the road's probably at least a 3% deduct, like for like, compared to these. And I just always ask the people, for the same money, Anna Thompson seller, and the same condition, would you live in this house or would you live in this house? And I mean, anybody in their right mind is going to be like, well, I'd love the one further in, So you just got to make sure you set up I'm not saying you didn't do that. I'm just saying we got to make sure we set up the credit expectations.
Road or highway for the 3%?
Either, like even being up here, over here too, because you got 35E. These are probably worth less because there's a lot more, believe it or not, there's just a lot more road noise there than there is here. Like when this development was sold, the most expensive lots were probably these. So you gotta be really, really careful. Ultimately, too, with associations, they're very specific. And that gets to be really, really hard when you have a small association like this. So we might have to look outside of it. But you really want to stay within the association because that's where the best comps come from.
Well, and they mentioned to me that one in the neighborhood had just sold for $325, and I'm wondering if it's one of those ones that has less noise.
Yeah, it could have been.
Then I can explain to them why theirs can't kind of sell for that much.
It would be shocking to go up by 10% year over year over year, because that's basically what they'd be saying.
Right.
Actually, more than that.
Right. Well, that's.
Or about 10%. That's a lot.
I think their expectations are high.
Have they done anything, or is this what they've done? Does it look like this still? I mean, not that this is bad.
It pretty much looks like that. They've done some flooring and.
Okay, but they haven't changed cabinets. They haven't added stainless.
No, they don't have. I don't think they have stainless.
So the biggest thing here too is this. Remember, I've said this before. I'll say it again, and I'll say it probably, hopefully, God willing, another 3,000 more times in my life. School districts trump everything. Period. End of story. School districts trump everything. For those of you listening, Amy, it looks like we just have, make sure that whatever you do, school districts are more important. That's the most important thing you can take away from this. The only time that really doesn't apply is when you get outstate. And by outstate, I mean like we drove 30 minutes southwest of here and we got down towards Le Sueur, Le Center, those type of towns down there, then it maybe really doesn't trump everything. But here it does. Because, and the reason why I say that is 196, we're all agents in this room, and everybody can pretty much know that 196 are more preferred by buyers, and 191 is what it is. Just is what it is. So, but over here, if we look not too far away from there, we can get into 191 schools. And so you got to be really, really, really careful. The best examples that I can give, best example, you know, singular that I can give somebody is I had a flipper that did a flip on Xerxes north of 62 in Edina. North of 62, one side of the street is Minneapolis schools, north of 62. The other side of the street is Edina with Edina schools. The same exact house on the west side of the street at that point in time was worth $100,000 more than the house on the other side of the street.
Holy shit. It's insane.
100 more, 50 feet apart. So school district trumps everything, and I'll get to it in 1 second, a short second is the municipality. I always want the same school district and the same municipality. If you take anything out of this class, take that. That's it. School district, the same municipality, and then we're dealing with associations. Association is the third one of those. Those three things will help you tremendously. And then from there, it's lakes. School district, municipality, and if you're looking at lake homes, it's gotta be on the same damn lake. And you can't compare Pryor to Spring. You can't compare Pryor to Cedar. You can't compare Pryor to Minnetonka. Just can't. It doesn't work at all. Never has, never will. Lake properties, acreage properties, they're by far the most important ones to really hone in on, and they're the hardest ones to actually do. So if you run across one of those, I'm happy to spend 15 minutes and help you through it, but sometimes you got to see them to really know. Because with a acreage property, how much of the land is tillable? How big is the property? Where is it located? How much of it is wet? What's the topography? Are there fences? Are there feeders? What type of outbuildings do they have? Do they have floors in them? Is the property on dirt? Is the property on tar? What's the house look like? I mean, you know, we can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Someone can have $1 million in their horse property with all these fancy feeders and waters and that, and a lot of times what you put into those acreage properties, you only get 50 cents on the dollar back. You know, I just sold my good friend's house that closes in a couple months, and they had $175,000 into the outbuilding. It might have increased the value by $75,000 bucks, maybe 100, but no more. So you gotta be really kind of careful. And sometimes, you know, people will coalesce, you know, I'll coalesce stuff with people if they want to, where I'm 50% of the agent, you're 50% of the agent, and I'm happy to do that. We split the commission, and if anything, I go in and help people get the listing if they're new, rather than them maybe not have the street cred. So just FYI, we do that on occasion, a couple times a year. So if anybody's interested, if you're not, that's cool too. So what I typically do, guys, is I'm searching by the MLS number, but since here what we'll go in and we'll do is we're gonna physically go in and draw this out, because we only wanna get the association. So what I would do is I would typically say, well, I wanna be a quarter mile, right? I like to go a quarter mile radius first and see what I get, especially if I'm Richfield, Bloomington, East Bloomington, Minneapolis, St. Paul. I'm really looking as tight as I can, and I never, ever, ever want to cross the proverbial railroad tracks or big streets. What I mean by big streets is like 35W. Like I'll never look in Minneapolis, in South Minneapolis, at stuff on the east side of 35W and compare it ever to the stuff on west. Just never do it. Just, they can be totally different neighborhoods because you get that proverbial divider, right? So you gotta be pretty careful of that. So we're gonna go in here and we know what they bought it for, which was $225, right? And we found that by looking at history. We verified the people's names were correct and they were indeed the owners. It's a 342 and it's 2,800 square feet. So let's go in and see what we can find. So again, if we're not looking at associations, then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in the MLS number, and we can do another one after this. We'll have time to do a couple. I'm just going to put in the MLS number, and I'm going to delete. There you go. I'm going to put in the MLS number. I'm going to go quarter mile, and I'm going to see what I see. And right now, I like to only look back about 180 days. But since we're not doing that and we're going to look by the association, we're just going to go map search. We're going to go to Burnsville. We're going to go to the neighborhood that it's in. Andrews. And we're just gonna outline the neighborhood. We go back down to criteria. And then because we know it's a small association, instead of going 180 days back, we'll go 0 through 365. So we'll go a year back. And then really, I usually don't check expireds or canceled because I really don't care. But again, because we're dealing with such a small area, we want to see what people have done and how they did it. So we can see we got one that's active, and now they're going to be various, you know, pretty new on the market, but the square footage is really, really small. So it's 1432 that we can see. So we know that that's not really our comp, but then we got two that are our comps. They're the same unit though. So they're looking at this one that got canceled at 320. So it's unusual, but you're probably your best comp, relatively speaking, is this one with horrible photos. Please don't let it be one of our agents that has it listed. Sorry, Kathy.
Right, yeah, no, this is, maybe I shouldn't have picked this one.
You're okay. No, I just think the photos could be better. I don't mean to have anybody hate me. I think
It looks like it's the same layout though.
I don't know if these photos are as good as I would want them to be. They're dark.
It looks like, is that one further away from the road, it looks like?
It is. It's one of those lots that we said were the most expensive.
Yeah.
So, you know, in looking at that, you know, if it's me too, I might do an aerial first photo, you know, a drone first photo, because it tells a lot different story than that inside first photo. You know, and drone photography is so inexpensive now. You know, you get a drone that hovers 1,000 feet above here and takes, you know, that out. So Kathy, you know, the other thing that's important to look at too is where did it start and how long has it really been on the market, right? Because the MLS, you know, sometimes it doesn't tell the story that you think it's going to tell. So we know that they started at 320.
Yeah.
Their list price currently is,
One is still sitting.
and it's still on the market at 309. So we know it's not worth 309 probably because it hasn't sold yet. At that price point, you know, the association fee is kind of high.
Even back a year.
Well, now I'm gonna go back 2 years because that we don't have a sold, right? And I just tell sellers,
doesn't.
Solds are reality.
Yeah.
Actives are fantasy land.
Okay.
So we want to deal in reality. We can't deal in fantasy land. Because that someone could put that house on the market for $1 million.
Yeah.
They could.
Yeah.
I don't care. It doesn't have any relevance to me. I think what happened, I looked at that property and did a market on it too, for a client. So what I'm doing then is I'm looking at, well, I need to know what's sold, right? And I need to know, and I need to compare. Now, I don't know about you.
That looks nicer.
That's pretty.
It's got an island.
Oh,
They kind of have an island, but it's not as nice.
well, yeah, but they don't have white cabinets. They don't have stainless steel appliances. They didn't have these travertine floors. They didn't have this wainscoting. They didn't have this $30,000 baller bathroom. This is a better lot. Slightly, maybe not.
Yeah, there's just like a few down.
So to me, I look at this and I'm like, it's more square footage, which can maybe offset, you know, it sold a couple of years ago, but we can't look at the one that's currently active as our measuring stick at all. It just doesn't work. So if we look at it here, we're going to look at it by total finished square footage. And what the thing that I'm really cautious about is this one right here, because this MLS number is bigger than this MLS number. So that means that, and this is basically.
That one is 4 bed.
The fourth bed doesn't matter as much, guys. It's the square footage, especially when you're looking at townhomes. Single family homes may be a little bit different. Most of the time. Yeah, and near people could do that too. Good point, Anna. You know, this
That looks really basic.
looks fairly basic. However, here's your two sales is what we got, guys. We have baller house that sold 2 years ago. And let's just say this right now on a better lot. So let's say 5% off right away for the lot. We just can 5% off of that price for the lot. And so we get down to 285. And then from there, we can say the condition on this one is, and I write this down for clients because it's the only way you can make it make sense. I say, okay, we're gonna take 5% off for it being on a better lot, so we're at 285. This one, I guarantee you, has probably got 30 grand better finishings. By the time you get that kitchen to look like this, and you get that master to look like that, 30 grand. So let's say that's worth 20 grand. Let's say it's depreciated. So now we're down to 265. If your house had sold at the exact same time as this, that's what I'm trying to get down to, right? We're at 265. And now I can go back though and I can add something and say, you know what, Anna? It's probably gone up by 10% since then. So I'm thinking 265, I'm gonna add 26.5 under the 265. So whatever that is.
290 something.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd be over 290 for the property. Just that's what it says. You know, that's what it says. It says it's a 290. It's not.
I mean, that I was thinking between like 290 and 300, and they just weren't on board with that. Like, okay, and they're already started building, so.
So they're building a house with you?
Yeah.
You can take, I mean, you can take it on what they think. It's just, what I tell people, it's very simple. There's 3 things that sell a property. 3 and 3 alone. It gets down to something that you control, Anna, something that I control as a real estate agent, and something that the buyers control. 3 things. That's it. It's not any harder than that. Number 1, condition. How it looks inside. what it smells like, what the sounds are like. Condition is controlled by the seller. Second thing is the marketing. I, as the agent, control the marketing. And our office will sell 1,500 units this year, so we think we have a pretty good, I use my stats, but you guys can, until you get to a point where where your stats are powerful enough to make, sense to the seller, use the office's stats. Because that's what I did when I first started out. I'm not saying that derogatory, just that's what I did. So say our office is going to sell 1,500 homes this year, so we feel we have a pretty good handle on the marketing. Wouldn't you agree, Anna? Yep, I agree. Okay, so then we're going to get to the third thing. The third thing is price. Price is determined by the buyer, no one else. We can't force a buyer to buy any property. So Anna, anytime we're on the market for longer than 2 weeks at a certain price, specifically at this price range, anytime we're on the market for longer than 2 weeks without a showing, we know we're 5% overpriced. Anytime we go more than the average days on market for a particular development, no matter how many showings we have, we know we're 5% overpriced. So if we looked at the average days on market for 196 townhomes in Burnsville and we knew that it was 40 days, if you didn't have an offer within those 40 days, you'd go back to them and you'd say, well, it's overpriced. But you have to have this conversation at the listing appointment. Because if you don't, it seems sleight of hand. Make sense?
And to set expectations.
Yep, set the expectations, but it's the three things, guys.
Condition, whether or not.
Yep.
And then the other one was
The market, which I control as a real estate agent, and our office has sold 1,500 homes in the last 365 days. So you would agree, Anna, that we have a pretty good idea on how to market a home, wouldn't you? Correct. And then last but not least is the buyers are controlling the price. So you can't force them. You guys can list it at whatever you want. But what ends up happening, Anna, in my past experience, when we list way over market, the sellers always seem to want to come back to me and ask me why the marketing is not working. Well, it'd be like having a Toyota Camry for sale at Burnsville Toyota for $60,000. It's not worth $60,000. I can market it all I want, and it'll never sell at $60,000. Just like your house will never sell at $320,000, because there hasn't been anything that's even sold remotely close to that. So we can price it where you want, but you have to understand that you and I have zero control over making a buyer buy a home. So get the listing, but you just got to know that, so what we can go from there is we can say, well, we kind of looked at that. We did the math. We said 290 thereabouts, right? Everybody understands how I got to those numbers, right? Yes?
Yes.
Yep. Because we said we were 265 plus the appreciation of 10% in total. So 265 plus 26.5. Yep. 191,500. And we as agents always have this tendency to be like, oh, 189.9, 194.9, 199.9. Doesn't hurt sometimes to get to a number like that at all. So that's what the math says. That's where I think it should be. 191,500. I used to list properties with the last 3 digits of the address. So I go
I've seen people do that.
191,326. Not a lot of people catch on it, but you'll get this analytical buyer that all of a sudden be like, oh my gosh, they got it down to the dollar. And I'll be like, God bless you. My mind doesn't work like yours, but so the other thing that I might do is we kind of know what the development will support, right, guys? So then we're saying, well, what will Burnsville support with 196 schools? And there's not that many of them, so we have to. Yeah, like where you really got to be careful, especially is like Maple Grove with Osseo schools, or Maple Grove with Wayzata schools. Totally different. It's totally different. But some agents will just lump it all together. It's like it's bad for your clients both ways. If you're going to list a property and you're comparing it to Wayzata schools near Osseo, you're going to overprice it. If you're going to list a property that's in Wayzata schools and you're comparing it to Osseo, you're going to underprice it. You got to be careful both ways because you're not being a true fiduciary if you're missing things like that. So there's very, very few, right? We just, actually, we gotta make sure you clear the map. A lot of times when you're gonna redo a search, sometimes it's better to go search general and then you know that you cleared everything, because I almost forgot that I did this search right here. And then we gotta go townhomes. There's actually a decent number of them, believe it or not. But we could probably uncheck. Yep, yep. We can adjust that down. So we got to 16. Not a lot active. It's so funny to me, these over here, that the line of where they draw 196 schools is just crazy. Because this is over just south of the Burnsville. The Burnsville Center's right here.
Yeah.
And this is 196 here. But here it's not. It's 191.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to live by the Burnsville Center and I went to Lakeville.
Yeah.
I lived by like the observatory apartments and I went to Lakeville South. And the bus picked me up and drove me all the way out there. It's crazy.
So what you kind of start doing is you weed through stuff. Well, we know it's not that. You know, these are fire leases right here. This is kind of its little only development, so we're not going to use that. Yep, they're detached. That's detached. So, and then you have these ones on Summit Shores. Now they're community. You got to remember again, community kind of specific, right? So I would be challenged to say that I wanted to use these as a comp, because Summit Shores, you know, is a fairly private neighborhood with not a lot of noise. You could say these are what's sold, but you got to be careful on people latching onto, okay, that's what my house is. Yep, they're one stories. Excellent point. All these, for the most part, there's some that are 2 stories, but if we want to get down to the 2 stories, some of them are 1, but most of them are 1 rather.
That probably increases the value a lot too.
The 1 story.
Because a lot of older people are looking for 1-level townhomes, so they don't have to mow their lawn. Laundry.
And so you can see all of a sudden, you know, we get down to here. A little bit older, but it's got stainless. What were they thinking, Anna?
What did they want to list at?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
They wanted to list at 325, and I told them that was too high.
Oh, yeah, there's.
I told them that was too high.
You could use that. I mean, you could use some of these. You could say that. And their problem is their association fee is way higher.
Yeah.
Right? Because.
Well, their mentality is since they're building and they have until December, they want to list it high and let it sit. And I told them that that's not a good plan.
Yeah, I mean, there may be some validity to it, but ultimately you're gonna get stale and you're gonna kind of shoot yourself in the foot. You'd rather list it high and then negotiate a closing date, or find a place to live, because you just get this stale property mentality.
Yeah.
You just gotta be real careful of it.
Yeah, no, they want to sell it. I know they're going.
Why put it on the market then right now? Why not wait till September?
Right. Well, that's what I wanted to do, but they think that the summer market is going to be more hot. And
So they
worried
want to
about
have
the
their cake. They
coronavirus
want to
and
have their
stuff.
cake and eat it too.
Yeah, they want to move into a rental.
Oh.
Possibly. If
Well, if they're willing to move into,
then they're willing to move into a rental and they're moving things in storage and whatnot.
then I wouldn't do that. I mean, you can just tell them.
If I
309 hasn't sold this, and it's the same darn property.
Yeah,
So,
I think we should move that 290 and sell it right away and move them into a rental and secure it.
Yeah. I mean, this is their property, but this one has stainless steel appliances and a nice backsplash. But it still hasn't sold at 309. And I'm not being mean towards this property. I'm just being factual, right?
Right, because
So
we don't know those sellers, maybe they wouldn't drop it or whatever, maybe they would drop their price. This isn't that Kathy's or whatever.
Yeah.
So we don't know her struggle, but.
Yeah, and so I look at that and I say, well, and maybe the motivation's not there, right? For whatever reason, I don't know. So I just look at facts. So let's just make that clear that everything here is facts. You might give it a little bit longer, but really there's a psychological thing between a 2 and a 3. 2.
Yeah.
There just is. That's why they don't price gas at $2 instead of $1.99. It's a 1/10 of a penny difference. But they price it at, it was better to price it at 2, they would, instead of a 1/10 of a penny less. Yeah, you're probably right. It needs to be under, the first number needs to be. And I always tell people, go to people and say, okay, I give them 3 numbers. Below market, at market, above market. It has nothing to do with my opinion. I've learned a long time ago, it's the market. It is not, I can't do witchcraft and, bring Jon Snow back to life. Any of those are Game of Thrones watchers. I can't do that, right? So I gotta say, it's my below market, quite frankly, would probably be, if I'm being honest, I'd be 275, 290, and 305. That's what I tell them. Anna, 275 is going to be below market. That's if you want to sell it in under 30 days. That's what the market will tell you, 275. If you want to sell for more than 30 days, between 30 and 90 days, then I would tell you 290. If you want to take more than 90 days to sell, then I would tell you 305. How fast do you want to sell? And there's more risk being at 305 than at 290, especially at 275. But there's just really not comps to support 325, especially not. If you were in Summit Shores, we could do that, and you were one level living, we could do that, but that's not where you are. And the best comp is the one that sold 2 years ago. And you got to be able to run the math with them too, right? You got to be able to say, looking at it 5% off because of location for you, 20 grand, we'll call it off because way better interior. We're going to add on 10% because of appreciation over time. And you can show them what the appreciation has been, right? Just by going to go to MPLS Realtor. Everybody's got access to this. And then you go to reports, and then you go local market. Now we got to be a little bit careful of is it lumps everything together, right? We can't sort it out by school district. So we go here and we go Burnsville, even though it's 196, but we can still tell a story, and our story can be what's been the increase in the average sales price. It's definitely going up. We can call it 6%, thereabouts. So, but MPLSrealtor.com. It's just taking the MAR stats. Here's the site.
That was from last year. 6%
No.
From last year.
Yep, from this time last year. So you could easily tell them that. So, okay, it's not 6, and it's not 10, like I said, maybe it's 12.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But still, we're under 295. We're not 325.
Yeah.
I mean, getting $100,000 on a property in 4 years that you haven't put anything into, or paint and some flooring, just not happening. Doesn't happen. But and I'm not, and again, I'm not.
What if, I know this is so random, but they have one of their appliances like doesn't match the rest of their appliances?
Get them all to match.
Do you think that's a big deal?
I'd get them all to match. To me, I'm not selling any house that I ever own without stainless, period. People, you know, I hear it all the time. Well, I don't want to pick out somebody's appliances. I want them to pick out the appliances.
Do you think if
You know what that
they
says?
have-
1 second. You know what that says to me though? When someone says that, they'll say it about everything in their house.
Mhm.
I don't want to pick up their paint. I want them to be able to pick out their paint. I don't want to pick out their flooring. I want them to be able to pick out their flooring. And I say, well, Anna, why do you think a builder sells a home with flooring, paint, and appliances? Because they know what 95% of the people want. So they put in what 95% of the people want. Anytime somebody says, I don't want to do that because I want somebody else to do that, they're really saying, I don't have the time or money to do that. That's why I don't want to do that. That's what they're telling me. So you got to go in and say, well, I can appreciate that you don't want to pick out something that for other people. And why do you think builders sell properties with appliances and flooring and paint? They pick out what 95% of the populace wants, and they go after that 95%. When you agree that that's what we should do to maximize your dollar, I'll just never sell a property without stainless and pretty much without granite. So I get so much more money.
Okay. Do you think it's worth it for them to update all the appliances before?
Well, they'll probably tell you they want 360.
Right. And well, they already asked me, like, oh, I think it's their stove is like, I think their stove is like black and their other appliances are white, or maybe it's opposite. And they're like,
Give it a
oh,
while.
should we replace it? Should we make it match? Should we do this?
Go
Blah,
spend
blah,
go
blah.
spend $2,300 through Warner Stallion on their 4th of July sale and get stainless steel appliances. People are like, oh, I don't want stainless steel because I don't like the fingerprints. Slaps.
I'll probably.
Sorry,
I'll
I'm
tell them
blunt.
that. I'll tell them
Hey, so spending, say, 30,000 on upgrades, what's the rule of thumb? How much they get back?
There's not a rule of thumb because it's so dependent upon, did they do any of the work themselves? How much of a negotiator were they? Did what, you know, that's what it really comes down to, because I've seen people quote $30,000 on a bathroom with just a 4-piece bathroom, right? A tub, a sink, a shower. And I'm like, what? $30,000? I can get a bathroom done to the nines. Heated floor, tile shower, all new everything, new fixtures. I can strip it down to the studs and do all that for under 10 grand without me doing anything. But there are people out there that'll tell you it's $30,000. So it's impossible to answer that question. Zach's a perfect example. He just did his bathroom halfway himself on our team. He just did his bathroom halfway himself, halfway with a contractor. He had a contractor do the tile work, and he did a bunch of the demo. He got a quote for like $25,000 on his bathroom with a tub in it. And he was like, he came to me, he's like, really? I'm like, dude, you shouldn't spend more than $7,500 for what you want to do. But someone quoted him 25.
Yeah.
And they were gonna make 17.5. Well, you don't have to do too many bathrooms at 17.5 a year to really make the world go round in your favor.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Do 15 bathrooms a year. Think about what you're making being a bathroom. You guys can watch YouTube videos and figure out how to do it. No discredit to anybody that's a bathroom remodeler, but it's not that complicated.
Yeah.
So, and then people say, well, I want to at least get the money back out of the appliances. And for most sellers, they'll think, well, that means increasing the price to $330 or whatever it is. I'll say, no, all this does, Anna, is it helps us to get closer to what the market is stating can be the recommended price. And it helps us to sell in a quicker amount of time. it's impossible for us to quantify how much we get back on a particular upgrade or change. But you got to really use that scripting that we've kind of talked about in here. You know, the things that are coming out of my mouth are very scripted. Every word that I said is extremely scripted on how we're doing it. So I think these are recorded if you want to listen back to them. Makes sense? Does anybody have another one that they want me to look at quick and blow through? Another house, another property? Do you?
8865 Hunters Way.
8865 Hunters. Anna, did that help or hurt you or hurt your feelings?
No, that helped me a lot. That
Good.
was very helpful because now I know how to talk to them about the appliances. Because they've asked me about it twice and I felt really lost. I was like, yeah, I didn't really feel like it was worth them putting the money into it to change all the appliances. Because I already knew it wasn't going to sell for $325. So now at least I know what to say when I go back over there. 8866.
Oh, I was gonna say, because now we have just the opposite effect. We're the rare Apple Valley with Burnsville and Savage schools.
Great. 8826.
I think it's the same. It'll be the same thing anyway. It's never been on?
No.
Huh? So one thing I'm always doing, guys and gals, is I'm always bringing the Zillow, the first page of Zillow too. So I always look 8826 Hunter's Way. Or 8826 Hunter's Way. I'll go here, I'll go Control P, and I'll print off the first page. Single family, 96, 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. Last sold for, because they know there's estimate, right? I might not show it to them, but I always have it. I want to know what it says. And they still are not very good. And the truth of the matter about Zestimates is the Zestimate, the only reason that they say they're getting better is they adjust this Zestimate when it gets listed. So that's the other dirty little trick. Because Zillow is running into a ton of challenges with consumers because consumers were being like, they're listing their house at what it was worth, and the Zestimate tell them $50,000 less. So the minute that it gets listed, Zillow changes that Zestimate. So then all of a sudden Zillow wants to say, oh, we're so much better at this now than we used to be. It's like, no, you're just bumping it up as close as you think it can possibly be bumped up to list price. But they're still wild. They're still wildly off. They're just cheating by taking the realtor's information on the list price and saying, oh, yeah, now ours estimating. You know, because you can watch it, all of a sudden it'll increase by a ton. So 8826 Hunters. So if we don't have anything on it, I'm Hunter's Way. I'm going to do a Google search. I'm going to do a street view. I'm going to ask the people to send me photos. But we still can go into the MLS. And in the interest of time, do you know if this is 196 or 191? For sure? Well, we can quickly just go 8826. I'll verify this too, because the one thing that you guys want to make sure, don't rely on what it says on that first page of the MLS. That information can be wrong. Make sure you're checking tax records that you all of a sudden aren't listing. It's 191. Because the first page of the MLS, where it says it, I've seen it. I've seen it on properties where they said it was 191. It was really 196. It got sold. Think how much money you left on the table for your sellers because people were searching by school districts. I see it all the time. 2-car garage. I get there and I'm like, 3-car garage. You have a fiduciary obligation that people can come back and at least sue the brokerage if they wanted to. If I'm a seller and I find out you listed my house as a 2-car garage instead of a 3-car garage, and then I find that down the road, I'm probably going to come back to you.
I see that all the time. I think people do that all the time. Or it'll say like 3-bed and it's really a 4.
Yeah.
And it'll say it like in the description, it'll say it's 4, but like on the listing, it'll say it's 3. Like, and it'll be like 2 weeks in. Like it'll like been sitting for 2 weeks, like no one said anything.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Well, if they're repping buyers, if it's not dual agency and within our brokerage, you have a fiduciary responsibility to say to the agent within the brokerage, right?
Right.
Like, hey, this is our client, because it's our client. We should get this right. Right? 8826 Hunters Way. So you just put it up there, hit enter. And it's just crazy, but that area is Apple Valley with 191 schools.
Hey, that's not very far from where we just
No,
It's like right down the street.
it's not very far. It's right here.
Downtown,
Yeah. So what you have to be a little bit careful of in here, and it's just about knowing your areas, is you kind of got to narrow it down by year built, because to be frank, and you get over into 196 real close. I mean, I don't even know where it is, but we're going to limit it by it because you get into 196, and then these are all older homes in here, just because I know the neighborhoods. So you got to be super careful on maybe limiting some more. So again, we're going to go here. We're going to say it was built in 96, and we're going to say off market date. Let's go 0 to 365. But you see now, right now, when I click it, it says 13, but if I go like this, it'll say 0, but there still might be some actives in here. You just have to check. Yeah, at least bring in the solds and the comp solds. There's nothing. And then the year built, yours was built. Well, and then it's pretty obvious we can go be hunters. I mean, we got some good comps, right? Have you seen the property in person? Okay. Is it your house? No. We got some townhomes, so we're not going to use those. It's a single family house, right? Oh, yours is a townhouse. Okay. Well, then this is a lot. For some reason, then it gave me the wrong. I wonder why I pulled up the wrong one. Hunter's Way. Said it was that.
Yeah.
Other side of the street. Oh, 8850. That's what it did. You guys got to be careful, even though it says it right here. It's saying the wrong one up there. Good old Google. The Google. Okay. Well, it's townhouse. It's easy. But again, we went the opposite way, we're 191, and how many square feet and things like it is there?
33, 39.
33, 39. Okay, well, here's one. Townhomes are a lot easier a lot of times than single family homes if there's enough sales. Does it look like this? Not as nice?
No, nice.
Nicer. All right. A lot of these are going to be people that move into assisted living, more than likely. We already saw 2 that were vacant. And then this is older. Nope, it's the same, but smaller. Inside unit. Outside units are worth 5 to 10 more %. 5's a good rule of thumb. It's an inside unit too. So gets a little hard because we got one this is the top of what it was. We can see it was at 485. It sold. This is obviously going to be the best comp. you know, by far and away. They're listed at 485. They sold at 467. We don't really care what Zillow says, but it says obviously something less. Yeah, I went on one yesterday where their Zillow is $50,000, currently lower than what I thought the house was worth. So don't go by Zillow, please.
How much does the third car garage add to that?
Depends. If I was looking at a single family residential, I would tell you that it would add $25,000. I don't think that's the case here. A lot of times the people that are living in these one level townhomes, they don't care about that third stall. They don't have the shit from their kids. Right? So that third stall gets used for 90% of the time. You know, there's very few people that have it. I think in my neighborhood, of the people that have 3-car garage, that have 3 cars, me and one of my neighbors. So they have a 3-stall, I'm guessing.
So you're saying like a 3-car garage, it's just for a townhome, a buyer's perception is not as valuable as it would be in a single family home and everything.
Yeah, yeah. It's really dependent on the buyers and their needs. Because the only reason why this is selling for that much money is because they're nice single level townhomes. And there's not a lot of single level townhomes out there. In my mind, they're actually, for what you're getting, way too expensive. I mean, let's be frank, I got to share a wall with you. I don't have my own space, and I'm going to spend upper 4s. What? Go buy a single family house with 0 association. Get somebody to do your snow and mow and control your own destiny. I don't know. I'm shocked that more people don't do that, to be frank. Go control your own destiny, you know, because you can easily for $150 a month do all your snow and all your mow all year long on a contract, and it's $385. Now I understand that covers in some insurance and it covers some exterior maintenance and things like that, but it's like $385, and $385 is a bunch of money. $150, I can get my snow and mow done, and then I don't need to be at the whim of the Nazi power-hungry president of the board. I mean, some of these presidents of the board, I hope nobody's power-hungry president of the board in here, but I'm not. If you are, be shamed. Because that it happens. It happens all the time. You meet these people that are just power-hungry and they become the presidents of these boards. And there's God, I saw the funniest ad the other day. It must have been for Geico.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, where it's the association, and she's the association president, and she's like, she's coming by with this shears, and she's like, too long, too high, too short, and it's just making a mockery of, you know, an association president. Just look up like Geico Association. I just about fell on myself. I'm like, oh my God, isn't that the truth? It's pretty hard to say what it ends up being worth. Because what we can do is we can say, okay, let's see, just for giggles, let's go like that. We'll go back, so 3 years, but then let's go this. Let's see what we get. There are some, so we went pretty far back. And that's a single family house, so I don't care about that. Single family house, single family house, single family house. See, that's what's crazy to me, right? Because we're talking upper 4s. Now, I know that this house sold recently, right? This is a single family house, 191 schools. I don't know. You tell me what you want. You want this? Or you want that darn townhome that you share walls with, and that's 1,500 square feet smaller? This is one level. I'd be scared if it was me spending that kind of money in that townhome. Because I know if there's enough shift in demographic, I could get stuck at that price. I could lose money. Especially when I'm looking at this. 9-foot ceilings, built.
I feel like we have a lot different mentality than most people though, because we're agents.
not even that. Also, like, my neighbor's man is moving from Florida back to Minnesota. And our thinking is townhome security, things like that. That's how they're thinking. Have two.
Yeah, but we really don't have any gated communities. When you think about, when you think about that in the Twin Cities, as far as gated communities, there's Bear Path, and I think there's one way on the north side of the cities. There's Bear Path and Eden Prairie, and there's something way up by Ramsey that's gated. In Florida, they're a dime a dozen, right? Drive anywhere in Florida, gates. And I'm not being, I'm just blunt. I'm going off facts. I'm not meaning to be disrespectful to any property. And that house very well might be worth to somebody for 80, for 85. But to me as a consumer, I look at it and be like, okay, I'm the same schools. I'm single level. This sold for 192. It was short days on the market, so someone was, if this house was 196, this house sells 525. Bam. That's 191, so I mean, that's pretty, you got 10, 12 foot ceilings. I just kind of laugh because I'm like, seems really cheap for that house. Probably less than the list price of the one that you're looking at, right? I mean, crazy. Ton of lower level garage, wine cellar. I mean,
so obviously that's probably maybe that was a fire sale or something, but you can't really, something you can do about it. That's the comp, right?
Well, it's not a comp for you because you're a townhome. I'm just saying, I'm having a conversation though with the sellers and saying, yeah, this is what the comps say. But I always have a real struggle when I can go buy single family for about the same money. I mean, it's 0.73 acres. I always have a big struggle when, I can go buy Shangri-La or I can, listen to my neighbor's rap music. I like rap music, but, I don't want to bang when I'm trying to sleep. So that's the struggle. I'm always leery of when you get price points that are that close, because you can go look at the wilds and you can find some nice townhomes in the wilds. You got to stay away from the stuff that's right at 185th. But if we look at like some of the older townhomes in the wilds and we compare it to some of the older single family stuff that's on the course, there's just this huge gap, right? Like $150,000, $175,000 between those two relatively equal square footage. I'm always just scratching my head like, I understand this might have been a little bit cheap, but if we really looked at it and looked at all the rest of the single family stuff, I kind of look at it and I'm like, okay, well, why the townhome should just not be that, right? It's like saying a condo is the same as a single family. Now condos can be great, if it's in the Carlisle and it's on the 40th floor. I mean, that's what someone wants, but maybe it's 485. It's a little bit hard because it's got the 3-car garage. So maybe say, well, we're going to add 10, 15,000 onto the most expensive recent sale. And that's what we're going to do, and because the other thing that I'm always really leery of is the Pillsbury Mansion on Lake Minnetonka was listed for the better part of 10 years before it sold. It was the most expensive house on the lake. It was the most expensive sale, to the best of my knowledge, on the lake. It started at $25 million is what it started at. It ended up selling at just below 10. It's on Brackett's Point. You can look and find it. So it sold for obviously like way less than it was listed at. What I always want to know is what's the most expensive townhome that's sold in Apple Valley with 191, because that tells me what the appetite is, right? So if I go here, I clear this, Apple Valley, and I'll just bring this in a single line display. I want to know what the most expensive townhome is. Apple Valley, 191, 0 through 365. That's that one. So you're going to be the most expensive thing. Anytime you're the most expensive thing, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's cars, I don't care if it's watches. It's the hardest to pinpoint the price. So we're going to say that we're more expensive than this because we got a 3-car and we're nicer inside. Your pool of buyers, anytime you're dealing with the most expensive thing, gets to be extremely, extremely minute. There is, and I can show you a prime example of when you're the most expensive thing. If I had the money, I would have bought, if I wanted to be house poor, I would have bought this house. There's $7 million in this house. The guy that built it, his name is Potts. You can just look at the taxes, right? It's taxed through the Yahoo. $7 million in this house. Look at the listing history. It started in 2011. Now, this is the most expensive house in Prior Lake, right? At this point, this is the biggest house on Prior Lake. It's probably the most well done. It's on 3 lots. But this is really expensive for Prior Lake. There's a couple that have sold now right about $4 million, but they're all new construction. So this person started at 4.9, and when it started at 4.9, I told my wife, it will not sell. The first number will never be a 3 on the sale of this house. And it wasn't a 3. I mean, just look at the ridiculousness of this. Oh, and it took us it took us 8 years to sell it.
Was it a bunch of different agents?
Yep. Took 8 years to sell it, and it goes for 2.4.
Are any of them from our office?
No. No, not that I'm aware of. 8, they sold it for half the money.
That's insane.
This house, numerous celebrities have stayed in this house. Yeah, I mean, a buddy of mine owns this house right here. I mean, I've been in it. It is insane. Insane is the only way to describe it. They had $7 million in it. And no matter how much money you get, unless you really.
Why would they even sell it?
He owns like 11 properties and he was there 3 weeks out of the year or some shit. Guy's worth like $150 million and just was like.
So you could just like rent it out or something.
Didn't want to. When you got that kind of money, you don't want somebody kissing in your bed, right? I mean, let's put it nice and PC. But crazy, right? That's my example though. Anytime you're the most expensive at a particular thing, you just don't know where it goes. We know that it probably goes for more than that 467 or whatever. I don't know that I listed at more than 485, and then you just have to tell them, I can appreciate you want more, but you're already the most expensive. We're in uncharted territory. We know you're worth more than 467, maybe 485. We don't know. None of this is an exact science, and that like we can put these into the CMA thing on here, and then they have all the adjustments. You get in there and you try to adjust things out and rationalize it, you drive yourself nuts, right? Like having 2 F-150 pickup trucks, same mileage, same trim level. One's got nicer tires, one's got a little bit of a paint scratch. Both are used. It's like trying to figure out what those are worth. It's very much art. This is art. It's not science. The only time it's science is if we have same year built, 3 bed, 2 bath, 2-car garage, townhomes with the exact same finishing levels that are 1,800 square feet. Those get fairly scientific. They're not going to vary by more than 7% of these. But that townhome or that townhome, different. So, yep.